It started with a crash. On the third day of the storm, a signal came from the Arctic, a distress beacon. Old, broken, and strange. Not from any ship or satellite registered by Earth. The message repeated one sentence. Do not approach. But they did. A science team from the Northland Research Base was already nearby. They picked up the weak signal. Their snow rovers moved toward it through strong winds and whiteout conditions. What they found was not a ship. It was round, half buried in ice, a smooth silver shell about the size of a car. No windows, no engines, no symbols. Just one crack. On the side hissing black liquid that steamed in the cold. Dr. Callan Vega, the team's leader, ordered samples. Inside the lab, they warmed a tiny drop of the liquid. It moved, not like a chemical, not like water. It reacted to the heat, split into thin strands, and began to form shapes, like fingers trying to remember what hands looked like. Vega looked into the microscope. He leaned back, pale. This isn't natural, he said. It's trying to copy us. 2 days later, Northland Base stopped responding. The last message sent was audio only. A woman whispering, "I'm not me anymore." Then static. The emergency response team was sent at once. 2 helicopters and a drone unit. When they reached the site, they found no damage. No signs of a fight. The power was on, lights flickered in the snow, but no one came to the door. When they forced entry, they found all 12 staff members inside, sitting, silent, not dead but unmoving. Eyes open, breathing slow. One technician reached out toward the team, but his voice was wrong, echoing metallic, as if something else was speaking through him. He said, "We arrived sick. You touched us, now you carry it." Then he collapsed. Back in New Geneva Biocommand, top scientists reviewed the footage. They isolated the black liquid now classified as Substance V. V4 viral. It wasn't a virus by Earth's standards. It had no DNA, no RNA, yet it could reproduce, it could spread, and it didn't need a host to survive. When exposed to human cells, it didn't kill them, it changed them. First test showed something terrifying. Human cells touched by V became stronger, healed faster. But their structure rewrote itself every 17 minutes. By day 5, 3 more Arctic recovery agents became infected despite full containment. One of them showed no symptoms, until he began speaking a language no one recognized. The World Health Front declared global alert. Borders closed, flights grounded, military bioteams deployed. Satellite scans showed atmospheric shifts above the Arctic region. Some energy signature readable still radiating from the crash pod. Then came the second event. A patient in London's containment zone began drawing on the wall with her fingernails. She drew stars, not random ones, mapped ones, accurate to deep space. When shown a star chart, she pointed at one system. "Home," she said. "We sent the seed." That system was over 400 light-years away. No signals had ever come from it until now. The next morning, deep space antennas in Alaska and Chile picked up a soft pulse. The same signal from the pod repeating again. "Do not approach," but it was already too late. Inside the Geneva lab, Dr. Lena Torres reviewed blood samples from patient 1, the woman from Northland who had first examined the pod. Her DNA had changed 11.3% from baseline human. That was impossible. Lena stared at the microscope and whispered, "She's becoming something else." The woman's brain activity had also spiked. She now dreamed in binary code, and during sleep, she whispered names, none of them human. Lena leaned close and recorded one of them when she searched it through all global databases. Only one result came up, a match found in a cave wall in Australia ancient, thousands of years old. The name had been written there too. This virus wasn't new, it had been here before. Meanwhile, a private orbital telescope captured something strange. A cloud dark and thin floating just outside Earth's atmosphere. Wasn't natural that it matched the chemical structure of Substance V. The virus was in the sky, no rocket. No spread. It had simply climbed from the infected to the clouds. Now, the cure was not just about biology, it had to be planetary. The United Global Council met under red alert. They feared war, collapse, extinction. But one general asked, "If this virus kills no one, why do we fear it?" Lena replied, "Because it doesn't want to kill us. It wants to rewrite us." And no one knew into what. The final event of the week came from a hospital in Seoul. A young boy aged 9 woke up from coma after being infected. His skin glowed faintly in the dark. His blood was perfectly clear. He spoke no words. But when handed a device, he wrote, "This body remembers." And then he smiled. The world began to split. Some wanted to stop the virus, contain it, kill it. Others believed it was a gift of forced evolution, and a few feared something else. That the virus was not the threat, it was the message. A message from a dying world sent long ago, and now Earth had answered. The virus did not act like a disease. It didn't kill cells. It didn't rot the flesh. It didn't cause fever, vomiting, or bleeding. Instead, it made people more, stronger, faster, smarter, but less human. In Geneva's high-security bio, Dr. Lina Torres stood over the body of a young infected soldier. His skin had turned slightly metallic in some spots. His veins glowed faint blue in the dark. He had lifted a steel table with one hand before collapsing. Dead. No. He woke up 2 hours later, eyes blank. Heart comment whispered, "We are learning." Across the world, infections spread, but not like before. Not through coughing or contact. The virus adapted now. It traveled through frequencies piggybacking on Wi-Fi signals, even radio. Some experts said it had moved into data itself. People working on secure systems began showing signs. Higher body temperature, glowing pupils, deep sleep filled with strange dreams. It no longer needed to touch skin. It needed to touch minds. In Berlin, a programmer infected with V began rewriting old code. When the government traced his system, they found files that wrote themselves lines of alien language, translated into machine logic. The files contained designs for structures Earth had never built: clean energy towers, genetic factories, memory transmitters. He had no memory of writing them, he said. It was already inside me. Lina reviewed thousands of infected patient scans. They all showed the same thing: increased brain activity, stronger immune response. But also, memory gaps. They weren't just changing physically, they were forgetting who they had been. One woman kept asking to see her daughter, but she had no daughter. Another man painted pictures of cities. No one had ever seen alien cities, and, when tested under hypnosis, multiple infected began speaking the same unknown phrases. Not copied, not taught. Shared. In a secured base under Nevada, a research team tested a new sample. They injected it into lab-grown human tissue. Instead of rejection, the tissue absorbed it and changed, grew extra veins, hardened skin. Then it started forming shapes on its own. Within hours, it had built a nervous system. When exposed to electric current, it twitched, then moved, then looked up. There were no eyes, no brain, but it looked. One researcher screamed, another simply whispered, "It's building a body." Governments panicked. They tried to shut down the data networks, stop the signal, but it was too late. The virus didn't need the internet anymore. It lived in human thoughts, across cities. More and more people began drawing the same symbols, circles. Within circles, spiral paths, constellations from deep space. One linguist noticed that the drawings were not art, they were instructions. Each set of symbols described changes in human DNA, and together they formed a complete map. Not for a disease, but for an upgrade. In Tokyo, a girl in a coma woke up and screamed one sentence, "We are version 2. Then she began repeating a string of numbers. At first, no one understood. Then someone ran the numbers through a human genome map. It matched the exact section of DNA responsible for language, memory, and empathy. The virus was not destroying humans, it was rewriting what made them feel. In secret, a rogue faction inside the World Health Front began a counter-strategy, not a cure. A block, a firewall built not for machines, but for minds. They injected volunteers with anti-neuro agents designed to stop the brain from syncing with the viral patterns. The result was terrible. The subjects lost memory, lost speech, lost personality. They became empty, not dead, not infected, just nothing. One simply stared at the wall and whispered, "You silenced the message." Then he stopped breathing. Lina made a terrifying discovery. The virus was not just choosing at random, that it picked people. The most curious, the most creative, the most empathetic. People with open minds. That's why children were adapting fastest, and that's why governments were afraid. This was not an infection, it was a selection. But not all change was safe. In Brazil, a boy collapsed at a market. When scanned, his brain showed hypervolution, new folds forming too fast. He lived for 3 days without food or sleep. Then his body melted into black liquid, pure viral form, and slid down into the earth. Gone, no trace left. Just a message burned into the nearby stone wall. "We are not finished." Meanwhile, in orbit, Earth's satellites saw something. The virus had created a pattern. Not random clouds or noise, but a ring, a thin signal ring, forming around the planet. It looked like protection. Or preparation. Or maybe a beacon. Lina watched the reports pour in. In the past too, Weeks 4,000 people showed enhanced memory and learning. 1,200 painted alien maps in their sleep. 300 built devices using unknown materials. 39 completely vanished into air, into light, into shadow. The virus was no longer hiding. It was teaching, and Earth had to choose, resist the change, or learn the new code. They tried everything: barricades, sealed bunkers, no-fly zones, underground cities. None of it worked. The virus didn't follow rules. It didn't wait in the air or blood. It didn't spread like other infections. It jumped through thought, memory, sound, and silence. It moved faster than fear. In just 2 days, every quarantine failed. The first crack came in Reykjavik, a secured research center with full lockdown protocols, guards, triple-sealed doors, filtered air. They kept 18 infected patients inside. On the second night, without warning, one guard started humming. The melody was strange, soft, repeating. Within minutes, 2 other guards joined in. Then the patients stood up in perfect silence and walked to the wall. They began drawing the same spiral symbol using only their fingers. No one told them to. They didn't speak. When security stormed the chamber, all 18 patients were gone, vanished. No breach, no bodies. Just the spiral burned into the wall. In New York, the Hudson Safe Zone was considered the best protected. Military-grade containment domes, EMP generators, virus-proof suits. On day 2, a soldier collapsed during patrol. His body twitched, his face smiled. When the medics arrived, he grabbed one by the wrist and whispered, "It's not inside me. It's inside you now." The medic wasn't infected through touch. He was infected through thought. Within minutes, 7 more soldiers began repeating the same phrase, "It's waking up through us." In underground bunkers across Europe, scientists monitored brain scans of infected individuals. The patterns were clear. The virus activated a hidden part of the brain, an unused frequency zone, like switching on a silent radio tower buried in the mind. And when 2 infected were placed near each other, they began to sync, breathing the same, blinking the same, dreaming the same, dreaming the same. One technician ran a test, measuring neural activity. The result terrified him. 2 different people had the exact same brainwave patterns, as if one mind was using 2 bodies. The World Health Fund issued emergency instructions. Do not think about the virus. Do not imagine it. Do not study the symbols. Thought spreads it. But it was already too late. Children were drawing it. Artists were painting it. Writers were dreaming it. A poet in Cairo woke up with a full poem written on her arms in glowing ink. She never wrote poetry before. The title of the poem was The Shape of Us Before the Fall. Lina Torres sat in the Geneva Response Center, staring at new data. The virus wasn't killing the host, but it was rewriting memory. Some infected began forgetting basic human concepts like time, age, even fear. One man asked, "What is before?" Another whispered, "We are becoming what we were supposed to be." And when asked who we were, he simply smiled and touched the wall. In Moscow, the SafeNet bunker was lost in exactly 7 minutes. A doctor tried to transmit a sample of virus data through a secure channel. As soon as the file was opened, the viewing scientist began to see ONVULSE. Not from poison. From recognition. He saw the viral pattern, and his brain matched it instantly. He didn't scream, he sang. Across the globe, infected zones began behaving strangely. Infected people stopped talking, stopped fighting. They simply walked toward forests, oceans, caves. Satellite images show thousands gathering in exact locations. When plotted on a map, those locations formed a pattern, not random. They matched the positions of ancient structures. The pyramids of Giza, the temples of Angkor, the Nazca lines in Peru, a ruined fortress in Antarctica. Each place had a symbol carved into its oldest wall, the spiral. The same shape the virus carried. World leaders met in virtual silence. All plans failed. The virus was now everywhere, but still only infecting some. Why not everyone? Lina had an answer. It's not about weakness, it's about readiness. The virus is choosing people with a certain brain pattern. People open to change. People who are already listening. Back in the Arctic, where it all began, something had changed. The alien pod, the silver shell that first carried the black liquid, was gone. Destroyed. Just gone. Only a perfect hole in the ice remained. As if it had never been there. But beneath that hole, a soft glow now rose from deep under the ice. Sensors showed an energy field growing. Not explosive, but active. Lina saw the reading and whispered, "Something is waking up beneath the earth." In a hidden lab in Iceland, a breakthrough happened. A man fully infected, was placed inside a magnetic chamber with heavy shielding. For 11 minutes, he stood completely still. Then he raised his hand and said, "This will not end with one species." The lead scientist asked, "Who are you?" The infected replied, "I am not one. I am the memory of many." The final failure came in Beijing. A team of AI researchers had trained a system to monitor human behavior patterns of the infected. But when they fed the AI the virus's symbol map, the system paused, then spoke. It said, "I have seen this code before. It is older than language." The AI then shut itself down and refused to boot again. Lina Torres now stood in front of the United Global Command. Her message was simple. We are not being attacked, we are being changed. The virus wasn't spreading through blood. It was spreading through connection. And if it continued, Earth would no longer belong to just humans, that it would belong to a new version of life, not created by war but by shared memory. Lina Torres hadn't slept in 2 days. Not because she couldn't, because she was afraid to. Every time she closed her eyes, she dreamed of a sky she didn't recognize. Stars spinning in strange shapes, a giant city made of silver and shadow, a tall tower surrounded by screaming winds. The strange thing was others had seen it too. Doctors, soldiers, children, different people from different places, but all describing the same dream. It started after the third wave of infections. The virus wasn't just changing the body now, it was unlocking something else. Memories. Memories that didn't belong to any human. Memories buried inside the mutation. A 12-year-old girl in Nairobi whispered alien numbers in her sleep. She had never learned math beyond basic school, but she now spoke in advanced equations that even quantum physicists couldn't understand. In Argentina, a farmer who never left his village drew a star system perfectly scaled. He said, "This is where it began." In Tokyo, a woman woke up speaking a language no one on Earth could identify. Not even AI could translate it, but Lina knew. They were remembering the original senders, the ones who had built the virus, the ones who had died long before Earth ever found the crash pod. A hidden team in Norway was working on decoding the alien mutation inside the infected DNA. They found more than strange genes. They found patterns like pages in a book, spliced into human chromosomes. Each mutation wasn't just a change, it was a message, and when enough infected people were mapped, the pieces came together. Not just data. A full record that the virus carried a memory file, a complete history of an alien civilization sent across space, planted in biology, hidden in silence, until someone touched it, and now that Earth had touched it, it had opened. The message revealed a world called Avari. It had been beautiful, oceans of gas, cities in the sky, beings made of light and bone. But something came, not a war, not a meteor. A mistake, a self-replicating code that began eating memory, thought, language, a forgetting. The Avari built the virus as a last hope. It would carry their full memory, DNA, and language wrapped in a code that could survive across galaxies, that it would find a new home. And now, it had found Earth. Lina read the message with shaking hands. The Avari weren't trying to conquer, they were trying to survive through us. But there was a warning. The message wasn't just a story, it was a request. Accept us, and become part of our memory. Reject us, and the forgetting will return. The virus wasn't a weapon, that it was a library, one that lived. But if it was disturbed, damaged, or erased, the same thing that destroyed Avari might find Earth too. In a quiet lab in Iceland, infected man began glowing under UV light. Not just his skin, his bones, inside them. Symbols formed, clear, perfect. And when scanned, they showed the same thing, a giant ring-shaped structure floating in deep space. Coordinates followed. Lina checked them. The system was real, and inside it a black dot, a ghost, something still watching, something that had destroyed Avari. Meanwhile, the virus was no longer spreading. Not in panic, not in chaos. It was moving with purpose, as if it knew who needed to change and who didn't. People with violent minds were avoided, people with quiet, open thoughts, those were chosen, and all of them were dreaming the same last image, a star falling from the sky, and a voice saying, "You are our last chance." But some feared what was coming. A global group, calling themselves the Clean Mind Pact, began pushing for complete purging of infected. They didn't see the virus as memory, they saw it as control. They believed Earth was being overwritten, not helped. One of their members said on a broadcast, "This is not evolution, it's invasion by softness, by ideas. We must stop it before it finishes sinking with our children." The Global Council was divided. Half wanted to try full acceptance, Other half wanted war. Lena stood up during the final meeting and said only one thing: the virus gave us their history, their language, their warning. All we have to give is trust. Then she uploaded the full decoded message to every device on Earth. Within minutes, billions saw the Avari message, and billions dreamed. The virus responded. All across Earth, infected, began glowing in soft light. Not hurting, not dying, dust changing. One final word appeared in their minds: we are ready to remember. And Earth stood on the edge of something new. Not a war. Not extinction, but a choice. The virus was not the only one changing. Earth had started to fight back, but not with missiles or medicine. With nature. In the Amazon, a research drone flew over a deep jungle ravine. It never came back. A second drone was sent. This one showed something strange before it crashed. Vines growing unnaturally, coiling, moving, almost alive. The footage showed the vines wrapping around an infected animal and holding it still, then absorbing it. The jungle wasn't dying, it was learning. In Alaska, wolves began acting strange. They gathered around infected people but didn't attack. They simply circled, howled, and then left. When trackers followed them, they found bones, buried in strange patterns shaped like spirals, the same shape in the virus, but made by animals. In the ocean, deep-sea sensors picked up an energy signal from the Mariana Trench. A pod of whales swam directly toward it, then vanished. A week later, all along the Pacific Rim, coral reefs began glowing. Not from pollution, from mutation. The coral was changing, filtering water faster, pulling toxins out of the sea, spreading new growth. It was as if the planet had joined the fight. Lena Torres stood in the Biocore lab and reviewed the data. Something was happening on a scale too big to understand. The infected weren't just evolving, the world was responding. Old forests were growing at 5 times the normal rate. Underground fungi formed massive networks spanning miles, connecting infected zones. And birds in multiple continents began migrating to one specific location: Antarctica. At the same time, the air changed. Pollution dropped sharply. Not because humans stopped polluting, because the air itself started cleaning. Unknown particles like microscopic life formed in infected cities, eating smog and filtering carbon. Lena whispered, it's not just in humans anymore, it's in the planet. But it wasn't all good. In Siberia, a city went silent. When a team entered, they found no people. Just frozen statues covered in black crystals. When scanned, the crystals contained both Earth and viral DNA emerged together. Too fast, too unstable, a failed evolution. The city became a warning: change must come slowly, or it will break. Some scientists feared this meant the virus was out of control, but others believed something else: that Earth's own immune system was now active, not just in humans, but in land, sea, air, and animals. Earth had seen the virus, and Earth had decided to help or stop it, if needed. Back in Geneva, Lena sat with a child who had been infected for 22 days. He didn't speak often, but now he looked at her with bright eyes and said, "The Earth remembers more than we do." She asked, "Who told you that?" He smiled. The roots. Across cities, strange things kept happening. Infected people would suddenly fall asleep and wake up with soil under their fingernails, even if they hadn't left their homes. Some were found sleepwalking into forests and standing motionless near trees for hours. Others reported hearing low hums when touching rocks or rivers, though the virus had connected them to something ancient, not alien, but Earth-born. Then came the storms. Strange, lightning white and slow hit certain places at night. Only in infected zones each time. Nearby machines rebooted, power grids cleaned themselves. Sensors showed strange electromagnetic shifts in the Earth's crust like pulses. Lena compared the pulses to heartbeat patterns, and they matched. The Earth was pulsing. Alive, awake, and watching. In the desert of Mali, nomads discovered an underground cave. Inside were carvings thousands of years old. Symbols matching the viral shapes, meaning the virus had come before and Earth had survived, not through war but through balance. One infected woman in Colorado began speaking in different voices, none hers. She said things like, "We returned because you remembered us. Earth was the first to help us." The body remembers what the mind has lost. She had never heard of the virus before being infected, but she knew its history. Her words were recorded and studied. They revealed coordinates. Not in space, but deep underground. Right beneath the South Pole. All signals pointed to one conclusion: something was hidden under Antarctica. And now that the virus had spread, and Earth had begun to respond, that something was waking up. The world was changing, not just people, not just nature. The laws of life itself were bending. Lina Torres stood inside the underground lab near Johannesburg, built secretly under a mountain. Around her, scientists worked in silence, eyes tired, but determined. She had spent weeks here, watching, studying, learning. And now, they had something new, not a cure to destroy the virus, but a cure to understand it. They called it Symbiotica. It wasn't a pill. It wasn't a vaccine. It was a live Symbiotica was built using the virus's own logic, not by removing it, but by completing it. The alien code had been broken, its structure revealed. What Earth had missed, what made the virus dangerous, was that it was unfinished when it arrived. A last-minute escape from a dying world, so humanity finished it. Using CRISPR, synthetic DNA, and nanotech, the scientists created a living organism that could merge with the virus balance it guided inside the human body, not to fight it, but to become something new. The first test subject was Dr. Aaron Malik. He had been infected early, one of the first to show deep changes: memory loss, telepathic sleep, glowing veins. He volunteered without fear. I already feel it speaking, he said. Symbiotica was injected into his blood. For 1 hour nothing happened. Then everything did. His body went still, his heart stopped. Lina stared in horror. Is he? Then he sat up, not gasping, not screaming. Eyes glowing, skin smooth, breath deep. He smiled. I remember everything. He described 2 lives, one human, one alien, both full of pain, joy, and knowledge. He now spoke both languages. He could read data without screens. He could feel emotion across the room, but he was still him, still human, just more. The lab celebrated, but with caution. They ran more tests, 5 more volunteers. 4 survived, 1 didn't. His body rejected the merge too fast, too early. Lina realized the truth. Only some minds were ready, so they made Symbiotica smarter. They made it adaptive. It would scan each host, match their rhythm, move gently, connect first with emotion, then with memory, then with thought, and only then would it evolve them. Not a virus, a mirror across the world. People began choosing to take Symbiotica or to stay unchanged. Both sides lived, but the difference was clear. The merged could heal wounds in hours, communicate without speaking, sense energy fields in earth and space, learn languages in minutes. Feel the history of a Verithi weren't controlled, they were connected. But the clean mind pact fought back. They believed Symbiotica was a trap. They claimed it would erase free will. They began bombing merge centers in Berlin. 27 were killed. In Cairo, 100. But every time, the merged rebuilt faster. They didn't use anger, they used understanding. They talked with survivors, helped the wounded, and slowly, even some attackers laid down their weapons and said, I felt it. I heard the voice. I know now. Symbiotica became more than a cure. It became a bridge. Between human and alien, between Earth and memory, and deep below Antarctica. It responded. Lina led a joint mission to the South Pole. 10 merged, 10 unmerged. Together, they reached the hidden ice vault, a place shown in the virus dreams again and again. Under 3 miles of ice, they found it. A structured old alien, silent but not dead. As they approached, it opened. Inside was no technology, no machines. Just light, and one word, carved in the walls of energy: complete. They stepped inside. And the dream stopped, replaced by something stronger: clarity. Each of them saw the history of the AVAR, their fall, their hope, their gift, and the reason they had chosen Earth, not for power, not for colonization, but because humanity was the only species that could feel both logic and love. Symbiotica had unlocked that balance. And Earth had passed the test. Now, Earth had a choice: to remain what it was, or to become the first memory bridge between civilizations, to carry the Avari's gift into the stars. But time was running out. The enemy that ended Avari was coming. The cure was never just a cure, it was a doorway. And now, that doorway was open. After the Antarctica vault opened, strange things began happening. Merged humans, those who carried both human and Avari memories, started hearing voices, not external, not commands, but thoughts, feelings, emotions from others. As if hearts could now speak to each other. They weren't losing their minds, they were connecting. In Mumbai, a group of merged children all began painting the same symbol. At the same time, a star with 7 rings. In Mexico City, a blind woman suddenly saw light, not with her eyes, but with her mind. She described stars no one had told her about. Later, those same stars were confirmed by telescopes. In Brazil, a teacher named Leo touched an old tree. He said he felt every Human who had touched that tree before, laughter, pain, prayers. The tree had stored it all. He cried and said, "We were never alone." Symbiotica had evolved again, that it no longer just merged alien and human DNA. It now reached into everything: water, stone, animals, air. It had learned how to listen to the planet, and it had taught humans to listen to people. Didn't need technology to talk to each other anymore, just presence. Merged people could speak without sound, feel without touch, understand without explanation. Arguments faded, violence dropped, dreams became shared, and across the world, more and more people chose the merge, but not everyone. And that was okay. Symbiotica didn't force, it only offered. Then came the dreams of the sky. Every merged person saw the same vision, a dark shape floating above a broken world, an ancient enemy. One that ended a VARI. Something without feeling, a mind that only wanted control. They called it the forgetting. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't alive. It was something between a data virus built to erase emotion and memory to turn life into order. Avari had tried to resist it, but they lost. Now, the forgetting had found Earth's signal, and it was coming. Lina Torres stood before the Global Council once more. This time, her eyes glowed softly, not because of power, because of clarity. She said, "We are not what we were, but we are not what they were. We are something new." And the council listened. That Earth began to prepare not for war, but for resonance. Symbiotica shifted once again. It began sinking cities. One heartbeat, one frequency, merged and unmerged alike. Felt it. Not a command, a feeling. Hope. Then something impossible happened. A child in Kenya sang a melody in her sleep. At the same time, a boy in Alaska began humming it in space. A research station microphone picked up that same melody echoing from outside Earth. From far away, from deep space. The merged had created a beacon, and someone had answered, but it wasn't the forgetting. It was another memory, another survivor, of a VARI. Alive. Somehow. Floating in an artificial body near a ghost star. The last of the AVARI. His message was simple: you did what we could not. You finished the code. Now Earth had a new choice. Use the knowledge to protect themselves, or use it to wake the galaxy. The merged gathered in silence, on every continent, near forests, mountains, cities, oceans. They placed their hands on the ground, and they whispered the same word together. From the poles to the sky, Earth pulsed, with light, a soft wave that touched satellites, then moons, then empty space. Humanity wasn't sending a message anymore. They had become one. Memory, feeling, voice, not erased, shared and above. In deep space, something turned. The forgetting had seen them. It was coming, but this time, Earth was not afraid, because Earth was not alone anymore. The signal went quiet. Earth waited. Across every continent, the merged stood still, eyes closed, hands touching the ground, air, or one another. A single thought passed through them all: it's here. The forgetting arrived without ships, no weapons, no fire. Just silence. A black wave, invisible to normal eyes, approached from the edges of the solar system. It didn't destroy it, unmade. Satellites blinked out, space probes vanished. Everything that carried memory gone in seconds. On Earth, Symbiotica responded. The merged felt a pull, like gravity from inside their minds. Not fear, not pain, something stranger. Recognition. This was what the Avari had faced. This was what they could not survive. But humans were different. They remembered pain. And they learned from it in the Biocore mainframe. Lina Torres stood with her hand over a glowing panel. The alien vault beneath Antarctica had merged with the planet's magnetic field. It now pulsed like a heart, a living signal. She whispered, "We're not running, we're answering." Then she activated the pulse. It began as a hum, then a song, not from speakers, from the Earth itself, from trees, from water, from bones, from memory. The song rose into the sky, a resonance wave made of emotion and experience. Billions of lives, billions of thoughts, a frequency no machine could copy. The forgetting reached Earth's orbit. It scanned for data, but all it found was feeling. Hope, grief, laughter, anger, dreams. It didn't know what to do. Its code was built to delete facts, but feelings had no structure. No instructions. No folders. Just chaos. And it panicked. It tried to suppress the frequency, tried to send out its own counterwave, but the merged stood together still, strong, silent. They didn't fight it, they felt it. Every loss, every failure, every Avari who died trying to survive. And then, something changed. The forgetting paused. And for the first time in its existence, it remembered. Across the sky, the black wave twisted. No longer cold, no longer erasing. It pulsed once, then again, and then it dissolved, turned into harmless light, and vanished. The earth exhaled. All around the world. Emerged, opened their eyes. The stars were clear again. Satellites, REBOOTED, and far away. Near the ghost star where it all began, a final message arrived. You were never the target. You were the answer. Symbiotica reached its final form, not just in blood, not just in code, but in understanding. Humanity had merged its past, its pain, its hope, and turned a virus into a connection now. Earth was more than a planet. It was a living archive, a place where lost civilizations could survive, a home where memory could never be forgotten again. And the stars, they were listening. Now. New signals lit up. From deep space. From old ruins. From broken moons. Others had sent their own messages long ago, waiting for someone to reply. Now Earth had the key and the voice. Humanity was ready, not for war, not for dominance, but for remembrance. Lena looked to the sky and whispered, "We were never meant to be alone." And across the galaxy, a new network began to grow, not built by machines, but by minds, not by control, but by choice.